In this video, I will talk about the fillet, chamfer, and draft. These are usually the secondary commands. These are not the main commands that you use to create your object, and you can find them on the refine section. So we have a fillet that is part of the design feature. Usually when you design part and there's a sharp edges, you want to use the fillet to smooth the intersection between the two parts or two elements to reduce the stress location. The next one is the chamfer. Usually it's very useful for the assembly and when you have two parts that they need to move to inside each other. For example, if you have a hole and when you have a pin that they have the same radius, you put the chamfer at the edge of the circle or the hole, and also you put another chamfer in the edge of your pin, and these two chamfer help the parts and the pin to slide easily inside your hole or the object that you have. So these are the next feature usually the designer use to modify their design. And the next one is that is called the draft, and this draft create the increase the angle of your plane, and it put the two faces in an angle to each other. This is the most feature that you use when you want to create a part for the injection molding, because on the injection molding, like the plastic injection molding, you want the parts go off from the mold very easily. So you put a small angle for the edge of your parts to help the parts to move out from the mold after it become hard inside the mold. So we are going over these features, and we see what is the some of the features that you can find in each command. So to do that, I start to creating some base for myself. So I just create some random shell shapes to help me work on these projects. So I just create one rectangle, I put another one inside these, and also I create another part here, another rectangle, and I make everything equal. So this one is square and I have this shape. So I go out, then I go to the model and I select the multipath. I put the first one for example 80 millimeter. The next one I put it for like the 60. The next one I put this one for 80 again. So I have a hole here, then I have objects around it. So let me make it okay. So this is the my base, and I start showing some of the features on each one of them, and then we go and add some other features to shows the more advanced on the fillet. So to do that, I select the fillet first, and as you can see here for the command section, the first thing is that you need to select the line. So for example, let's say that you can select the line, you can select the face, and if you select the face, all of the lines associated with this face will receive the this fillet. So for example, right now it's a 5 millimeter. So if I put the 5 millimeter, all of these faces will receive this fillet. So let me delete this face. So you just expand that one, and then I select this line. So for now, I just put the fillet for this line. So the next thing is that you can define the fillet by the radius. So you get the 5 millimeter radius fillet, or you can say that the length. So if you select this, let me make it 10 to make it bigger. So put the preview. So if I zoom in here, Right now I have a fillet, so the arc is 10 millimeters, but if I select this distance, then the distance from the start to end of my arc will be 10 millimeters. So you can define how you want to create your fillet. So this is the one fillet that I created here. So it it removes the sharp edge on the edge. So the next thing is that if you have different location for the for your object, and if you select one line and the end of the line is not sharp like this face, and then you have two options, a couple of options to shows how you want to receive the create the fillet for that face. So for example, let's create a fillet here for this face. And now if I want to create the fillet for this edge, if I put the tangency, the file, the profile or my fillet, it moves all the way to the other edge because there is no sharp edge in this point, and I have an arc. Because of that, selecting the tangency, my arc, even I selected this line, will move forward to the edge until it meet the sharp edges, that is this point. But if I select the minimal, in that way, my only line, the only line that will get the fillet is the line that I selected. So you can see that it will goes and stop at this point that I have the sharp point. So this is the end of the point that I received my fillet. But let me make this one as a tangency. So as you can see here, let me do another one. So let me make it as a minimal. Then I create another one for that line. Make it like 15. The next thing is that, let's say that you want to have a fillet with a different start and end point, with a different arc at the start and end. So let me go and edit this fillet 4. And now you can see in the top you have another option that it create the fillet with the variable angle. So you can see that here, because only I have 2 points, I get the 2 location that I can put my elements. So here you can see that in the control point I have 2, that is the start and end of my line. And if I want to have more line here or more point here, I can create another point. So I create another point, and I create the point with the, so I want to put the line. This is my I select this line and I select on the curve. So let's say that I want to put it on the middle. So I have another line, another point at the middle. So for each one of them, I can define the different values. So here I just expand my line here. So for the edge 1, so this is my edge 1. So this is 15 here. So I can change this 15 from, let's say that I make it, so I select my element 1, and if I make it 5, or let's make it 10, that one, I select the point, I keep it like or make it 15. Okay, so let me change all of them. So let me change it from here. So I make it, this one I keep it 15, I keep this one to the 5, so let me make it 5. Then the last point, I make this point, this one I make it 10. So it's 15, then it goes to the 5, and then it goes back to the 10 millimeter. These are the different value that I define for my different for multiple shape I want to create for the multiple or variable angle fillet that I want to create. So this is the final fillet that I received here. So I have the different values here. The next thing is that let's say that you want to stop one of this fillet in one line. So you don't want to, for example, for this line that I created a fillet, I don't want to be the whole through, so I don't want the fillet to stop from one end to another one, and I want to stop the fillet at the, for example, this plane. So my ZX plane. So I select the feature that I created, and I go to the option, and then I select the limiting element. So here you can see that I don't have anything here right now. So I select the one plane here. So I select this plane, and I want to stop my fillet to that point. So you can see that my fillet only takes place up to the plane that I selected here. Let me put the two new shapes. So here, let me put one circle here, and then one rectangle here. And then I extrude or pat them for, let's pat them for 5 millimeter. Okay. The next thing is that sometimes when your edge is very small, when your shape is very small, and you create the fillet in some location, there is a chance that it changed the top faces. So for example, here if I create the fillet for this edge that I have on the bottom part, so right now is you can see that it's green. This is a red. It means that it cannot create the arc or the fillet with that value, or the value of the 10. So when I create this fillet, sometimes it change the line, the face, the profile that I have in the top. So for example, if I had this circle, when I created that one, it was, for example, it was 20 millimeter. So I had the 20 millimeter circle in the top, but with this creating this new fillet here, some of these edges may be removed, and the final surface that I get in the top is less than the 20 millimeters. And you don't want to have that one in your design. So you can just remove these edges from being considered on the fillet. So you can say that tell the software to stop the fillet when it gets to this line that you have here. To do that, you go to the option, and then you select the edge that you want to keep, and I select this fillet, this circle that I have in the top. In this way, when the software create the fillet for me, it keep these edges for me. So your final product after this fillet still has a 20 millimeter diameter and the surface in the top. Okay, so let me put the, for example, a fillet here, and so I select the wrong one. let me show you the one feature here. I just need to make this two objects closer together because I want to show you when you create the fillet that they meet each other, what's happened between them. So I just select the distance between these two and I make it like the 8mm. Okay. So now I go out. So now let's say that I want to create another fillet for that face. So when I do that, and with the 5mm, just select the minimum. So here, let's say that I create another fillet here, and you can see that these two fillets, they meet each other, and then you can see here the software create the automatically create the calculation between these two edges. So the straight line, if I don't have this fillet, goes further inside, but now the software automatically calculate the relation between the previous fillet that I had and the new one. And for here, if I select the tangency, the software will stop, give me the error because the problem is that, so now I need to edit this one, because when it creates the fillet with the tangency, it will meet the line here, and if it goes tangency, it goes all around this circle that is part of the new fillet, and it does not meet my other end. So the software cannot calculate that shape. So you need to keep it as a minimal. The next thing is that if you select the face to create your fillet, you can exclude some of the lines for to create in the fillet. So if I select the 15mm here, and then you can exclude some of the lines or some of the faces that you have in your object. So for example, if I select this face in the top and I create the fillet for this one, I create a fillet for 10mm. It creates the fillet for all of these edges because all of them are tangency and they are like the part of this face. But you can take some of these edges that you don't want to be part of your fillet. So you can select all of these lines that you don't want to be part of your shape that you want to put the fillet on them. The next thing is that when you create the new the new fillet that is not that is meet the previously shaped part that for example is not part of the your new fillet. You can see that you get the sharp edges at the end. So when I create this fillet, it creates some kind of the sharp edge. Then you can select this side blend and select your three faces that you want to create and make them remove that sharp edge and create it as a cap. And then the software create that edge for you. So let's say put it 5. So instead that it creates some kind of red and cannot create the rib for us. so it gives the error for all the three edges, so it cannot create the cap for these shapes. So one of the reasons, let me change this fillet here, and instead of the surface I select the two lines. So let me delete this surface and I just select these two lines. Okay, so now let's see, can we so the 10 millimeter is not acceptable. How about 15? Let's see. Okay, so now that the fillet, the new fillet is bigger than the original fillet that I created, then the software could put the cap and create the smooth edges between these three fillets that meet each other at this point. Okay. And the next command is the chamfer. For the chamfer, let me deactivate this one. And this one, so I just want to work on this cube that I have in the sides. Let me deactivate this one too. Okay. For the chamfer, as I said, is usually to create a sharp, to remove the material from the sharp edges to make it easier for the two parts to move it inside each other. For example, let me put for example, let's say that is the hole that I want to put my this is the hole that I want to put the pin inside. So usually if your pin is at the same diameter of your hole, it is very hard to push that pin inside the your object. To make it easy, you can just create the select these edges and you select the chamfer. To create the chamfer, you have different options, and the first one is the length and angle. So for example, let me put the 15 millimeter and 15 degrees. So you can see that now the chamfer that the software will be created is, if I put the preview, it's a very wide chamfer. You can reverse the direction, so you have a 15 millimeters length on 15 degree edges. This is usually the type of the fillet that the chamfer that you want to create, because it should be smaller. So I think the 5 is good for our purpose. So sorry, I just make it cancel that one. So 5 and 15. So this is some type of the chamfer that you can create inside your part to make it very easy for the assembly to go to fit inside each other. So this is some shape that you can find in the pins and the screws, that there is a small chamfer at the edge of your object. So let's go over some of the features that you can find inside your commands. So here I select the 15 millimeter and 15 degrees. So you can see that the chamfer or the remove material is in the 15 millimeters in one side, and then you from the end of the edge you have a 15 degree removal. You can select between the two lengths, so you can say that you want to go 15 millimeter in one direction and 5 millimeter in the other direction. If you put the symmetry, the both side goes 15 and 15, and it become equal to the 15 and 45 degree chamfer. The next one is called the chordal lens, and you have an angle. So for the chordal lens, so let me make it 15 again. So the chordal lens, it calculates the lens from this point to the end point. So it gives you the 15 millimeter total lens from the start to the end, and it's usually it automatically calculates the amount of the equal value of the lens that you need. Or you can select the height and angle. So if you have a height, and if you put the 15 again, so this one gives you the total amount of the height that you want to create. So if you put the F1 here, it gives you to the help. It gives you the let me go to the chamfer. So for the height is equal to the sinus of your angle multiplied by length. So the length is automatically calculated by this equation, and so this value divided by sinus of the 15 degree is the length that usually you can put it in this first option. So this length will be calculated from these two values. And the next one is the hold curve and the angle. Again, for the hold curve, if you go to here, if you have a curve between the two objects, it automatically you don't need to put the lens. It automatically calculate the so let me, which one is that? So let me deactivate this one. Should be this fillet 6. So let me deactivate this one. Okay. So for example, you want to have a chamfer from the top part to the end of this line. So, and you don't know what is the length of this part. So to do that, you just easily select. You can select the hold the curve, and for example, this is the curve that I want to keep my chamfer to hold on that. And so I select my element. So this is my element that I want to create the edge, and then I select my hold line. So this is the hold curve that I want to the selected face has no sharp edge. So this is my hold curve. I have my face, so it should be line. So I selected to be selected only this line. Okay. Then you can see that now I said that this is the line that I want to stop. So this is my hold curve, and I have 15 degree angle, and the software automatically calculate the shape of my chamfer here. Okay, so the tangency and the minimal is the same work that do for the for your fillet. So if you chamfer one edge and it meet the edge that is not sharp, it will continue to go to the other edge. So if I select this face and I select the tangency, and let me this chamfer, make it deactivate this one, and one of this fillet was for fillet 6. I think it was fillet 8. So if I activate this one. Sorry, not that one. So let's say that I make this one, create a fillet here. And now I don't have the sharp edge in the top, and I want to put the chamfer on this line. And if I select the tangency, my chamfer goes all the way to the other edge. So here you can see that because I don't have a sharp edge, and I select the tangency for this chamfer, it goes all the way to the other side. But if you just want to put the chamfer on this line, you just select the limit, minimal, and then you only get the fillet for the chamfer for this line that you have here. The next feature that is you can edit your object, and you can create the object or the plane or the surface on the angle is the draft. So for the draft, if you select the draft for yourself, and you select, for example, let's say that I want to draft this face, so I select my face and I put the 15 degree because it's more it shows more dramatically and you can see it. And then I select the neutral element. So this neutral element is the face that you select, and you want to create the draft from that face. So you can see that when I select the my draft here, it's created from the top face. The next thing is here that you can see that it's created the draft for all of these faces because there's no sharp edges between these two faces. It moved and it create the 15 degree edge, the draft for the other face too. You can change the direction of your draft. So you can say that you want to go inward, so you get the 15 degree inward cut going inside your object. So the final edge is smaller than the perimeter that you created at the beginning. So I created my profile at the base, and now you can see that my final product is shorter than the profile that I put. So I just put it in the original one. I want to go outward. Again is that you can select, like the fillet, you can select the limiting elements. So here, for example, I guess that I put it at the origin. So let me select this plane. So this is the YZ plane. So if I come here and I go to the YZ plane and impossible image, the software cannot calculate that one. So there's some calculation that it cannot do that. So let's create a plane. So let me create some kind of the intersection plane at the middle. So let's say that I want to have this one. No, let me, instead of this, let me select the and I select these faces and I make it inward, and let's say that is 20, let's say that is 40 millimeter, so it's almost at the middle. let's see, does it help? So yeah, so it cannot calculate. The reason is that this fillet, let me just make it, this fillet creates some kind of a tangency, and this chamfer and this fillets. Let me deactivate this one. Then if I go back to my draft, I go to the definition, then this time select, let me delete this plane, and I create the next plane to this face. And now if the software goes right, this line, this face that I have up to this plane will be 15-degree outward. And then you see that this is my plane that I put, so up to that plane is 15-degree draft, and then it's a stop at that level. So that's the limiting options that you have. You can select. You need to deactivate the chamfer too. So now let's say that you want to have this face, you want to draft it with a different angle. So I select this face, I select the multiple, the variable draft. Then I select my neutral, so this is my neutral. So you can see that the software automatically create the 2 point that is the start and end point of my this line. And let me put another point at the middle. So I select on the curve, I select my curve, and I put it at the, for example, here. And this is my next one. And then here you can see that for each one of them you have option to change the value. So here I increase this one. So this is some new shape that it can create. So this one is very huge. So let me put it at 47. I change this one, keep that one on the 15, and then I change this one to 5. Now you can see that I get the is a start my draft has started the 15 degree, then it goes to the 45, and then it come back to the 5 degree. So you need to notice, if you want to edit this part, you need to change the values from the graphic card, so graphic area. So for example, if you change this one, first you need to click on that to activate, and then come here and make it 45. Then let me click on this one. Now this one is activated, this one is a 15, and now I click on this one, now it's activated, and I make it like the 5. You have the same option. For example, you can create the limiting elements, so you can stop your draft in one location. Let me create some create a plane. This time I start from top 60, for example. So I think that this was total 80, and the 60 is looking good. So I put the plane that I want to stop. So the calculation is very big, so the software cannot calculate this location of the values, so it gave me the error. So the location of the limiting point is not in the good location. So let me do something else. So let me select, for example, the plane, and this time if I select this face, I make it like the 5. Okay, so this is the plane that I have. If I put the plane here, now let's see the software can calculate it or not. For some reason it cannot calculate the stopping limiting location like the other one, because it's a very complicated values. The changes from the top to bottom, the angle, the values is changing. It cannot use the limiting values. So we have, let me see, we have this x1, we have this xy. Just trying. One more try. So this one, let's put it the xy. Okay, so this time it's calculated and accepted the limiting value. So this is my limiting plane, and the software calculate the object up to that point. Okay, so these are the most options that you have when you create your part. You have these refining options to do some more work on your object and make it ready for your final product. As you can see, you have Fillet to create the remove the sharp edges, and this is some design feature. Then you have a chamfer for that, mostly useful for the assembly, and you have a draft that is mostly parts for the molding objects. And if you want to create a part that will be manufactured through the molding, you use this draft option. The next command that I will go over today is shell, and the next one is a stiffer, or the rib that you can find on the SiteWorks. So these two are the main commands for your designing, and I will go over both of them to see how you can use them when you want to design your part. Okay, so let me create some base for my work. So I select okay, so let's say that this is the profile, and then I select the multipad and I put the 80 for the first one and 50 for the second one. Okay, so let's say that this is my base. This is my base of my part, and I want to create the shell for this object. So here I select my part, or my face that I want to create the shell. For example, if you want to start creating the shell from the top, you can select the top part and you select on the shell. So as you can see, there is some options here. The first one is that the thickness that you want to create inside part. So this is the limit that you created in your profile. For example, let's say that this is a 15 to 100. So if I put the 5 millimeter thickness for my part, then it gets the 5 millimeters inside. So if I click OK here, now I have a 5 millimeter thickness for my part. And if I go to the view and I select this view, so you can see that I have a 5 millimeter thickness for all of the parts that I have, because I put the this shell after creating the multiple multi-path. It goes over all of the objects. So if you want to only have the your shell in the top part, you need to create your object with the two different paths, so you can select them separately. And right now, because I created everything with the one path, it goes all over both objects. Okay, so let me turn it off and come back to the some of the other features that you have here. Then you can define the thickness to the outward. So if you want to put the, let's say that your profile, you want to sit down at the middle, you can put the 5 millimeter in the other side, so you get a 10 millimeter total thickness, and the profile that you created is at the middle. So right now I just keep it at the 0. The next option is that the different thickness. Let's say that you want to have instead of the 5, you want to have a 10 millimeter thickness on this wall and this one. So instead of the one thickness everywhere, you can exclude this one and define the different thickness for each one of them. So here I click on this arrow, and then on the select at the first one I select this. As you can see, that it shows with a different color, and I put the, for example, 10 millimeter. Then I want to say that this thickness for this one be 10 too. So as you can see, it's like the Excel part. You can click on the faces and you can put the different value for your thickness. I just put in the one direction inward, so I don't touch the other one, just to show you the difference. So here if I go again and create the cut, you can see that I have a higher thickness and the 10 millimeter thickness in these two walls that I selected to have a different values. So the next section is that for this one, if you have two faces that they connect to each other with a tangent line, then if you select this one, your thickness propagate to the other faces. So for example, here if I have another shape here, so if I create the here, let me create one shape again this side of this, just to show you what I'm talking. So make them equal. So this is a square shape, and I extrude that or pat this one for 50 millimeter. Then I select this line and create the fillet, and fillet for 10. Okay, so now I have the two faces that they connect together with the tangent line, so there is no sharp line. If I select this face and then I go to the shell and select the shell, so here the software, you can see that when I create the shell, it automatically create a tangent and select these two faces too. If I select this one, so right now I just create the shell for 5 millimeter for these objects. So you can see that I selected that face and it create the 5 millimeter thickness from that face. So it removed that face and then it create the shell. But if I go back and here if I select the propagate, so it create the tangent. If there's a faces that is tangent to this face, it will select those faces too, and then it create the shell for me. So you can see now the shell, instead of the just going inside, it removed the two faces in the top and bottom part too, because they are tangent to this fillet that I created here. So that's the one flexibility that you have when you want to define your shell. So you can do that. You have the same option here if you want to select a different thickness for the different walls, and if you select the tangent, it goes to the other faces that they are tangent together. But here, for example, if you have an arc here, this 10 millimeter will be propagate to this face too. But here you have a sharp edge, so the 10 millimeter that I especially defined for this face only apply to the face that I selected. So that's the one point, that one of the options and one of the features that you have that you can select and work on that. So let me go back to this shell and just want to show you that if you select the face, the software start removing that face and create the shell from that side. So instead of the top, if I select the side part, you can see that my face removed, and I have a 5 millimeter thickness for this one and 10 millimeter for this one, because I exclude these lines. So this is the way that you can create the shell. It depends on the what face that you select, and also the options that you can propagate, or you can just create the multiple thickness for your part. The next option that you have is the stiffer. So this stiffer is some design feature that usually used to increase the property of your design. If you have a very thin wall, you usually put some stiffer inside to make sure, or outside to make sure that your part has enough strength to be under the pressure and it doesn't break. So for example, if you want to create the stiffer, you need to have one profile that shows the line, outer line, or the shape of your stiffer. And the next thing is that the software gives you the options that for the direction that you want to create your stiffer. So here I select this YZ plane, and I put the one stiffer here and one inside. So I select this one, and then I create for example, the line here. So for example, this is the type of the stiffer I want to put. So when you create your profile for your stiffer, you need to make sure that either the line or the profile that you create is in contact with the body, or it will meet your body. So here, as you can see, when I created this line, I'm sure that it will meet both faces in the side. So if I create the stiffer here, you can see that the software create the preview for me. So I put the 5 millimeter for the stiffer here. So I select the line and I select the stiffer, select the 5 millimeter. Somehow it's create the stiffer for when it contacted, create for all of my objects. So if I put the 5, and yes, so I don't know why it just get all of the objects here. So let's try on this face. So I create a stiffer for this one, and let's do select this face. And right now, if I create the line here, I know that this line sit down inside my the middle of my object. So this line, if I change the view, because I put the center of my origin at the middle, I know that this plane that I have here pass through the middle, so the stiffer this profile sit down at the middle of my object. So I just go to the model, I select the stiffer, I select this one, then I put the 5 millimeter. So now you can see that it creates the 5 millimeter stiffer for my object. So right now, I'm not sure why it's contacting with my object in the back. So this some kind of the miscalculation for this object. It shouldn't be contacted with the back part. So these are the two different objects that I selected here. So let's go over some of the objects that and some of the features that you have on the Stiffener. The first one is that if you select a neutral fiber, it put the profile that you created at the middle of your thickness. So I have right now, if I put the 6 millimeter, I get the 3 millimeter at each side of this profile that I created. If you want to have the, for example, if you want to put the your profile in one side of your profile that you created, you can just take off the neutral fiber and put the two thickness that you want. You can see that if I change the direction, my thickness or the thickness of my Stiffener for this profile that I created goes to the left or right of my profile. The next thing is that this option that is create the your Stiffener through the parallel to your the plane of your profile. So right now I create a profile for this one goes normal to my plane. So this is my plane. So the extrude is, or the Stiffener thickness goes through normal to this face. But if I select the next option that I have here, as you can see that the direction of the Stiffener changed. So now instead of going downward, it goes up to meeting the next boundary that here is this wall. So these are the changing the direction of the Stiffener that you have. For this one, it goes to parallel to the plane that you select, and for this one it's the normal to the plane that you have. So here I have XY plane, a YZ plane, so this one goes to the X direction. So the Y and Z is my plane, and the normal to that is the X direction. Okay. Now let me create another profile, and this time I want to talk about the type of the profile that you create. So for example, let's say that I have this type of the this is the profile of my Stiffener that I want to have. Then I create okay. So let's say that this is the shape that I have. So I have a these are not contacts. So make sure these two are in contact. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now I have this profile that I created here, and then I go back and I select this. Let me change the view so you can see it. Okay, so this is a profile that I have, and then I want to create the my Stiffener. So should be front. Okay, now it's better. I select my model, I select my Stiffener, and now you can see that for the first option that it goes the object is propagate through the normal of your object. So this one I have my my profile. The first thing is that it's propagate parallel to the plane that I created, so it goes inside this direction. And the next thing is that it follow the tangent to the line. So I finished here, and the tangent to that is the profile follow to meet the boundary. And also for the circle here, you can see that I finished here, and it just follow the natural direction to meet another boundary. If I select a different direction, instead of selecting the inward, my sniffer goes outward. So now I get all the space that I have inside. It will be filled with the this sniffer that I created. So just to show you the for some reason it just delete all of the. So let me delete this one. So when I create this sketch, just select the. Let me delete this one that I created here to make sure that. Okay. I delete the other part to make sure that there's some issue with the software to calculate the stiffer, and somehow it create and remove all the object from the outside of this area. But the point of using the stiffer is that you just create one extra layer of the material to make it. Okay, now it's the right one. So now you can see that I have my stiffer inside my object. So if you look at the inside, you can see that I have this rib that is inside of my part. So it follows the same tangent to the line that I created here and goes up to meet the boundary and stop there. So you can see that right now the stiffer is normal, is a parallel to the face that I put my profile. So if I change that one and make it normal, you can see that now it goes inward. So now I have my rib that goes. The first thing is that it goes and meet in the two other side because it's an open profile, and then it goes to the next boundary and stop there. So that's the benefit of the stiffer, that you have the options to define the direction and also the thickness of your part. So right now, if I select different, I select another part, another direction, it doesn't create because there is nothing in the other side to stop the profile, so you cannot calculate the other way. The next thing is that if you have a closed profile, you don't need to meet this boundary. So you don't need to make sure that your lines meet the boundary that you have, because in the closed profile, the software automatically can calculate the. So this is the open profile. So it need to. Your profile need to meet the boundary to create the object. So if I move this line higher, the software gives me the error. But let me create another profile here and it show you when you have a closed profile. And then, so for example, let's say that this is my closed profile, and then I want to use that as my stiffer, so I just click on that. Okay, so it doesn't let me to create the part in this program because it is a closed profile. So as you can see, it doesn't let me to create the open profile. It is if the object is in the parallel to my profile, because this profile, if you want to propagate that one in the direction of the parallel to this plane that I put the profile, the software cannot calculate that because the lines meet each other. So you need to create the stiffer in the direction of normal to your plane. So I create this plane and create a stiffer normal to that line. So if I do that, then I have this type of the stiffer inside my object. So usually the stiffer has a small value of the thickness, so usually 1 or 2 millimeter, and the point of using that is to increase the property and the strength of your material. So just make sure that the profile that you create, if it's the open profile, it meets the boundary in the direction of the tangent to the profile that you created, and also the direction that you want to create your object. So for this stiffer here, and let me make it different type of the so if I put, so you can see that I have this stiffer here and the next one is here.